This is already gone.
Yeah, they are, and this is already going to change the course of what we saw from just the last match. And like I was saying too, even from, if you guys have been tuning in with us from wildcards up to even MWI, you can already see that in a first match, some of those different picks coming through, and that's going to be the case here, it looks like, even so. So first priority, I guess, while we wait for this last ban over from Onic, is going to still be what? I mean, the fact that you, okay, well, they go with the Arlot ban. So what do you swing here?
Interesting. TFE has a Rush Kimi option, Rush 1-1 option, considering the Lancelot, Fanny, Farsa are all gone. You go Kimi or 1-1 for your first pick.
They can go Kimi or 1-1 for their first pick for sure. They could also go for the Kalia if they really wanted to. They kind of want to play a more pickup style of composition. The Arlot really feels interesting, right? Because I know that Wadu plays it for sure. I'm pretty certain that it fits Boxy's style of like pickoff as well, but we're going to start things off with the 1-1 as a strong opener for CFU. It's going to deter Onic from actually looking to play those tanks in the first place, but I think that's what CFU want. Yi Shin finally gets let through, and now this is where things are going to get interesting, right? Because you have this jungler who's ultra fast, super fast farmer, is able to open up that map. Do you want to pair it up with the Zitian now that we see that Farsa is off?
That'd be a great compliment to a YSS if you go that way, you know? Not only does it give you an advantage just with map pressure, but like you mentioned, you can do quite a bit speed and rotational wise too, but they'll go with the Phoveus for now for Onic. See what the response from CFU is.
CFU, they'll be able to get their mid laner before Sans can get theirs, and I think that's one priority they really want to put a lot of focus on, considering they banned the Farsa. Yes, you could say it was a setup for the 1-1, but in the bigger picture, it's also a targeted way of them being able to tell Sans, you're not going to be on someone who can set the tempo a lot. Maybe you'll be a little bit more utility. We want priority in our mid lane first.
I suppose, but then there's also like the gamble of, oh, if we take Zitian, you won't have access to it. You don't get that compliment with Yi Shin. What else is really left on the table in terms of mid lanes, right? I'm thinking like Yve along those lines, but even then, I know Sans' pool is extremely deep, but a lot of these heroes have kind of phased out of the meta, keeping the mid lane really, really strict in terms of what the meta demands of it. We see the Fredrin, we also see the Kalia. I'm not seeing enough damage from the side of CFU just yet.
Yeah, it's like they're waiting for the mid to the late game on this one. It's really going to be dependent on what they end up with in the mid and what Onic ends up with, but yeah, it seems like Onic can scale relatively quicker. No mid lane picks yet. They go for the Badang instead. Nice-oo.
I like what both teams are doing. They're kind of just they're waiting to see what the mid lane picks are going to be for both sides, and that's what I'm saying. It's an interesting transition that we see from match 1 and now match 2. But nonetheless, I feel like both teams have that. You know, yeah, the YSS has great damage too. You're able to kind of disrupt things with the Badang that gets locked in. But just like we saw from Kalei in the previous matchup, your pickoff potential is going to be good. But like, you know, Gideon mentioned, your 1-1 needs time to build up, and then you have the whole, you got to be able to proc to the weakness points to be able to get the crossbow of Tang off. So how do you round that out? How do you round the damage profile out? And that's why I think the mid lane picks are so important. And we're going to see more mid lane picks probably banned out in the second phase.
Yeah, Onic taking away this juice in. This is actually one of the favorite picks of CFU Gaming in the mid lane. If it would have been paired up with a Kalei and Fredrin, that means, yeah, they won't have a lot of damage, but they will have a lot of pressure, which is what CFU likes to play when they have the juice in their mid.
Yeah, but then we finally get to see signatures get to be banned out. I mean, there's just so much targeting towards the mid lane, which is now starting to be a little worrisome, because in terms of like raw scaling, like, oh yeah, you can sustain forever, but if you don't have the damage, you're eventually going to die anyways, right?
Yeah.
So I want to see how this really plays out, right? CFU, they decide to get rid of the Eve. Now we go back to Onic. At this point, Zitian is almost guaranteed on their side, assuming that CFU doesn't ban it. So do they want to start diversifying in terms of what in their picks and bans? I personally feel that, hey, maybe get rid of some high-profile damage-style EXP laners.
Okay. Onic bans out CC, and we'll see if it is the Zetian that's banned out here from CFU. This is interesting because I feel like this is maybe the most tested that the mid lane hero pool is going to be so far. So I'm really like sitting here as a mid laner myself. I'm like, what are they going to pick?
Yeah,
what is it going to be?
And at that point, although there is still one pick that Onic can go for, they can still put a Kimi in the mid lane. There's enough room for it. With Akulei and Fredrin usually play around the center of the map. That's one of the scenarios where we see the Kimi picked in that slot. Either that or we'll end up with the likes of Lilia and Zask as a matchup in the mid lane.
That's true.
I think that it is. Oh, they're opening the question up to everybody, right?
Yeah.
So now CFU and Onic, they're gonna look at this as like, man, Onic, they kind of don't want to get Kimi on their side. Zetian works out in their favor, but instead they go for Lunox. They go strictly for somebody who doesn't really force out lane priority, has one of the best late scaling mid laners in the game so far.
Wait, sorry, is there an option that this Lunox might actually go gold instead of mid?
Ooh, what does that matchup look like? There is a possibility. I think their damage profile does allow for it. And then you don't have to worry about taking Purify because you have iframes to work with. I think there's a possibility there. There is a possibility there.
So that's the flex. That's could possibly be a new flex. And CFU, how do they respond to this? They still need their mid laner, obviously. So they go with the Kimi and they get the Edith.
Wow, such a strong standardized composition coming in from CFU. Love it, love it. And they even got their own chant going. The Sharks are hungry. And let's see whether the Sonics are able to kind of stand their ground here, right? They've basically got their potential flex here. I don't think there's any good mid laner at this point, unless they want to go back to like good olds like Loyi and stuff like that. Valentina, but there's not a lot of good ults to work with other than Edith and even, and the Tsunami Slam, of course. But even then, it's like, man, how are we going to fight for priority in the first place? Because Lunox plus, Zetian plus the Badang, Lunox versus the Badang, it's going to be a bit of a struggle, especially against Kimi Kalia.
Yeah, a Lunox gold lane, and I think the surprises the CFU showed up, it's very CFU. They can actually stretch out team fights that the old-based composition of Onic might struggle a little bit. However, there is the Yi Sun Shin on the side of Onic that CFU really greatly need to respect. I will be enjoying this. Gideon, Naisu, you guys have more time to expound.
Thank you, Ranmar. All right, so now our second best of three is about to kick off here. Onic ID facing off against CFU, and you heard it 2 times. Hopefully the mics picked them up, because that battle cry is actually kind of sick. We got to ask them about that.
It's closer to us, man. I would be actually really impressed with the audio engineering if that doesn't come through. Again, it's so loud for us here in the studio, but again, can't wait to watch this kickoff.
Let's begin our second best of 3 here at the Mid-Season Cup 2025 here at the Esports World Cup live in Riyadh. CFU will be battling against Onic from the blue side, as Onic will attack from the red. It's going to be a purple start for both of these junglers, but let's expound on the compositions, right? Because again, a very classic matchup we're seeing nowadays is Yi Sun Shin versus some form of tank-style jungler. And usually what happens is that Yi Sun Shin gets a couple levels ahead of their opponents.
Whoa, Sands flickers out, and that's a first blood for Opie. Keyboy will take a brunt of the damage, but he's going to be fine. Man, early start for CFU.
Very early start, and Boxy even committing the flicker to it. So really nicely done. Singh also using his Inspire pretty early on against Severo. He's trying to get an early lead. Severo just needs to survive.
Yeah. You know, going back to that as well, the YSS, I feel like in the main part is you always have that added benefit of vision, but then when you come to his rotation and his actual jungle speed, he should have an easy time against Detective here on the Fredgen, right?
Well, for the time being, as long as he doesn't get CC'd to the ground, right? If he gets hit by the energy eruption, that's when we start to have problems. As long as he maintains his traceless, it's all good, all fun and games. But now with the changes to the jungle, that it takes a little bit longer these days for these camps to respawn, there's a bit of dead air after the clear. And that's where mid suddenly becomes a huge priority. And CFU, they're ready for this, right? They've got Detective in position. Hopefully, Sans opens up the map, sees it, and now Keyboy getting attacked.
Okay, Keyboy gonna go ahead and slide on out. He's fine. The rest of the team's gonna respond, though. Kyrie will take a couple shots off, but again, that's a Fredrin. The turtle's up, though, so this is where we get to see how they play this out. As they get in position, you expect the Fredrin to have control of this. It's CFU that's actually going to zone out Onic from this first objective, and it looks like that's going to be secured for CFU. Sands, once again, will find himself pretty low. Look how aggressive Opie and Detective and everyone else who's being, they're gonna force him off the purple buff. They go in, Keyboy falls, they get another, it's a double for Wadu. CFU knows the enemy and they'll go ahead and duke it on out on this side of the jungle. A triple already for Wadu.
Beautifully played from CFU. You can just see the hours of scrimmage time that both CFU and Onic ID have given to each other, and CFU recognize, hey, we've got to lead, we must press the advantage. Severo might find a solo kill. What? It just goes into the air, seeing out of range.
Oh, Severo, he's gonna get just punished for that. I guess he thought he could pick up the kill, but doesn't have enough damage yet.
He should have been able to pick up the kill. It's just that last darkening shot didn't connect because Zing was just out of range. I think that Severo might have had to commit a flicker, but that would have felt so bad. Either way, he's still missing out on that solo kill. Kinda sucks. CFU now 5-0 against Onic ID. This is going phenomenally for CFU Gaming.
Hey man, if it had anything to do with the war cry we heard earlier on, that might be the buff here for them in game one. Already 2.4K ahead. And with this kind of lead, this is going to set things up really well into even the next turtle here. So Onic, they're going to have to find themselves building up, you know, from this deficit early on. Now, can they do that with this lineup? It might have to be a pick-off, a flicker, an aggressive play. Once again, going to be able to find the mark on Kyrie as Kyrie falls. CFU once more. They're going to just jump in. They know the timings, too. They'll take the purple buff.
Amazing play. Really great from Boxy's side. He sees the traceless. The turtle ball gets thrown from the mountain shocker. It misses Boxy. Flickers in to yoink him and pull him out of position, knowing that he's got literally no battle spells to save him because he's the jungler. He has to take retribution. And with traceless on cooldown, it guarantees the kill with CFU Gaming corralling around that mid lane. It's working out perfectly, right? Every fight. Wait, hold on.
Oh, Boxy could be in trouble this time. Right now, enough damage. Onic will get on the board. They might be in position to go ahead and secure themselves to an objective. They desperately need this from the game getting too out of hand. Swadu up in the front side. They're going to spot that out. He flickers forward with it onward and goes forward in. Two will fall from Onic again. CFU is just on point with the fights and initiations, and now San's in trouble. He has nowhere to go. He does flicker around. A good setup though, but still going to be alive. Now Detective on the backside gets a flicker out from Severo. He'll dodge that. But again, the objective going over to CFU.
Oh my goodness, Wadu is so good on these Earth Shatter flickers. He is a dangerous man when he has flicker in hand, making sure that Lupi basically was non-existent during that fight, right? He's supposed to be the one who buys time, but it gets chain CC to the ground. Right now, the coordination from CFU Gaming is immaculate.
Oh, again, this is a tough spot to be in for Onic and Tunisia. It looks like sometimes, you know, they're able to go ahead and convert something, but then that was just one setup, one kill that they were able to get. They don't really have that many tools to go for a pickoff in comparison to what CFU has.
That's completely true, right? Again, you're expecting Keyboy to kind of get into that position. However, in terms of like raw damage, it really boils down to Kyrie, right? He's going to be the early game damage for now. Sans, yes, he can do some damage, but he's not like overwhelming like a Farsa or in this case the Kimmy. It's just not comparable. Even Severo to a certain degree, he's got a bit of damage, but he really needs his items. And in terms of tempo, CFU Gaming, because of that initial purple buff steal, they know exactly where Kyrie is going to be 90% of the time, and they're utilizing that information to make sure that Onic ID don't have an opportunity to actually attack. See, even making sure that they lane swap to ensure, hey, they're going to be playing for that Lunox now. Wadu, if you can clear these lanes, that's perfect, because we're going to get T1 down bot side.
Yeah, just as you say it, that's going to be fallen here. They're going to get in position for this third turtle of the game, last one. I'm not sure how Onic is going to play that, though. Now, this time around, Keyboy, once again, he'll have the flicker to go ahead and try to set things up, but that might still be the case if Kyrie can't get in position and you're too worried about going down for that fight. Okay, there goes... Keyboy doesn't have the ultimate anymore. So this is a tough one to go ahead and fight because, again, you're lacking that firepower, and the further behind you get in terms of this gold again, an initiation with a tsunami slam, they're going to force the fight anyway, but Onic will try to fight back, and Appraiser's Wrath finds a couple, but the crossbow of Tang will find Keyboy. Zing picks up, Severo in trouble as well, can escape Wadu, and CFU Gaming continues to dominate.
God, Dang, man, CFU Gaming. They're not here to mess around. They want to make sure that they are sweeping the floor with Onic ID. Every play they have made so far is so good. They initiate immediately, baiting out the last couple of ultimates from the side of Onic. Most importantly, Sans one. The Fury of the Phoenix is such a powerful tool when you engage, but it's also a great disengage tool. However, at the end of it, Sing was able to get into that crossbow of tank form to apply massive amounts of damage to Onic ID, especially pre-8 minutes. So at this point, with a 6.8k lead about to turn into a 7k lead, CFU Gaming just need one more fight and one more tower to break into the 10k bracket.
This is insane of a lead and the start for CFU. But a phenomenal one at that, and Wadu has been locked in the entire game. Every single time he goes for that setup with the, if his flicker's available or not, he's on point with the Earth Shatters. Now they're gonna fight in between the two turrets, forcing a flicker out, Tsunami Slam, easy pickup, Loopy falls. Meanwhile up top, Kyrie has no choice but to push in that tier 1 turret. They need something and anything, because right now CFU is taking everything. Tier 2 is gonna fall in the mid lane as well. Everybody quite low from Onic. They have no choice but just to watch.
Yep, CFU Gaming understand if we don't close out this game, the scaling for the side of Onic ID is going to be a major problem down the line, especially with the Yi Shin on top of having the Lunox side by side. For now, if we have to break it down, I think that CFU Gaming, once they hit that 10k mark, it's going to be good. But the wave clear might be a little bit of an issue, right? CFU Gaming cannot start falling behind, and they can't let the game extend super late. The pickoff is going to begin. Again, using tempo. Look at this.
Wow, traction pulse into Tsunami Slam. Able to find one. Keyboy will jump in, but it's just way too much damage. Overloading Onic as another pickup here for CFU. And the Lord is up. Perfect timing. They're all up and alive and healthy. They'll make their way to the Lord.
Yeah, CFU Gaming making sure that every interaction with Onic is a winning interaction. That's how this composition must progress forward. And Onic just starved out a lot of their resources. Divide and conquer, says CFU, as they take this Lord while breaking the Holy Shielding.
Great juggling happening here from CFU. Very impressive once again. Start off to this best of 3 series. I think even Onic is kind of just left wondering what's going on here. They don't, even if they try to stay under the turrets, they're forced to fight anyway. And that's why that Kalea from Boxy is so good. And this might be, again, the effect of Boxy going back into their own role, allowing them to have that decision making on their side. And what a great showcase it's been so far.
I think we really just, unfortunately, Onic ID just doesn't have much of an answer to the early game. They just needed to not interact, but CFU Gaming said no. Force them into their position, force them into a position where they have to interact with them all the time. They can't run away from these fights, and neither can they disengage. So therefore, Onic ID
again. Boxy jumps in with a Tsunami Slam, finds Luffy after missing the traction pulse. OP's gonna pick up the kill anyway. Boxy finally goes down, but Kyrie quite low, could be in trouble. They can clear out the wave up bottom. Mid turret already down, but they won't get more. CFU with a 12,000 gold lead. It looks like they're going to stay a little bit longer, but Onic might have been able to hold on a little bit longer for this game 1.
I mean, the breathing room for Onic ID is just running out. They're losing space. Wadu, keep your eyes on him. He's got flicker.
Oh, Wadu. Brilliance is going to be used. They're just trying to clear out the waves here as they do. So Onic, despite everything else, will stay in this game.
That's a checkmate angle right now achieved by CFU Gaming. 12.3k, the biggest lead we've seen so far here at MSC 25. As we can see, even for Onic Indonesia, how do they find an angle, right? Every single attack they have, there is some form of counterplay. Sing can go invulnerable with the crossbow of Tang, not to mention that she also has an inbuilt Purify, making it more effective against the raw CC coming out from the side of Indonesia. Boxy, whoever he picks off at this point is almost guaranteed to die. The damage coming in from OP is ridiculous. The stacks that he has, he's 6 and 10, 0 deaths.
Oof, again, Boxy, big enough threat. Jumps on in, traction pulse, gonna find multiple members! A great setup under the base turret! Luffy gonna be able to fall, and it's a wipeout, a maniac for OP. That's game 1, dominant for CFU Gaming.
Holy cow, Onic. They're going to be looking at that. It's like, okay, we deserve to lose that one. Our draft didn't have an early game plan, and every interaction we had for the first 5 minutes was just a losing one against CFU Gaming. I want to see how they're going to replicate this in game 2.
It seems like Onic cannot shake off whatever is up in the air here in Riyadh in MSC. But CFU, I want to focus on them. Draft, gameplay, everything, aggression, the hunger. They are just so good. And that's literally all what's said in my note. CFU versus Onic ID game 1. Stomp. CFU so good.
That's basically what it came down to, man. Like, I'm sorry, I was not expecting this. This is not what I expected for game 1. It was so dominant from CFU. They knew exactly where to be every single time.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly where the first stone was thrown, right? We saw that the early First Bloods did come through. A couple of mistakes were being made, especially when it came down to the mid lane. But let's say, even if that First Blood didn't even come through from the side of Sans, this purple buff would have inevitably still fallen into the hands of CFU, right? Decisions need to be made really quick. But CFU is, again, putting their foot on the pedal. I'm not going to give you the time to decide, right? You want to take your purple buff? I've already taken turtle, and now I'm in your face. You have to give this up. And that's what they do. Slow and steady, but they encroach on their territory.
Yeah, encroaching. It's like a slow encroachment. You know the aggression is coming. They're not going to throw everything right away. But again, see if you have drafted similarly to what Team Liquid did in game number 1 against Ultra Legends, where in this lineup of CFU, actually, if you look at it, it's 3 carries. The mid, the gold, and surprisingly enough, the Edith EXP lane, which was a really great pick in the second half.
Wadu's insane.
Wadu's good. He is really good at seeing these angles and really extending the lead, which is why, again, we saw Onic get rid of the Arlo, which kind of does the same thing, but a little more consistently and a little more often.
It's insane because the Edith, you wouldn't expect to get that kind of lead, but even when the flicker's down, like, you still have a window